Hi there, I'm Mark Renneson at a grand opening for a brand new park in our community. On this episode of Pickleball today, we're going to do a pro point breakdown for Major League Pickleball. We are going to talk about how you can train on your own and get the most out of it, and we're even going to go on a road trip. So let's get to it. Okay, so first things first, if you're looking for things you can do on your own to become more fit, to become a fitter player, let's not talk about me. Go to someone like Fernando Fit Pro, right? He's got tons of content. You can find it all on Selkirk TV. Fernando Fit Pro's got tons of things you can do to just be like in better shape when it comes to playing pickleball. What I want to focus on today are some of the things that we can do by ourselves to become better players, right? So more like the technical side of things that you can work on if you want to train on your own, okay? So for the fitness side of stuff, go watch Fernando. He's great. And let's us talk about what we're gonna do on the court. Okay, so I've got a few different paddles with me here today, and some of you, maybe you've seen some of our other videos we've shot from here. We had the kids out, and so we had a bunch of demo paddles. I have loved playing with the Power Air. It's been great, and this is the Epic version of it, which was the very first Selkirk paddle I ever used, was the Epic shape. This has been great, but you know what? I want to give something else a try here. And it's not this. It's not the green machine, which my 4-year-old absolutely adores. I want to try out today is this, the SLK Omega Max. You probably know the SLK is the more affordable line of paddles by Selkirk. Full disclosure here, I've played with a whole bunch of SLK paddles, and I love them. I love them. They look good, they feel good. I don't know, I've just been having a great time with them. So when I got the Omega Max in the mail recently, I thought, oh, I need a chance to go out and try this. So this seems like our chance. Okay, so we should probably do some sort of warm-up activity. And again, Fernando's your guy if you want like the really fun activities. But I'm just gonna do a quick light jog back and forth and maybe a little bit of footwork. So back in a sec. I know they say you shouldn't run backwards. You gotta run backwards when you play pickleball if you're gonna play well. It's not the running backwards that's the problem. The falling. This one actually feels pretty good. The old bones. Whoops, screwed up the pattern. Okay, that's good enough. Let's get to hitting some balls. So when most of us think about practicing on our own, probably the thing that we think is easiest to do, and it is serving, right? You don't need someone else to hit the ball to you when you serve. So let's work on our serve. And really there's gonna be sort of two things mainly I wanna focus on. One is the depth of the serve, and one is the direction of the serve. Now let's start with the depth first. Why is a deep serve important? Well, I hope you don't say because it keeps them back. It doesn't keep anybody back, at least not good players. They still return serve, they still come to the net. So what is the value of a deep serve? Well, there's two things, well, I guess you could say three. There's two reasons that we want the serve to be deep. The first is that if you hit deep, they may not stay back, right? Good players still come to the net, but their journey forward to the non-volley line is gonna be longer, right? If you push them behind the baseline, when they're hitting the return, instead of they're on or inside the baseline, they're gonna have farther to run. And if they have farther to run, there's a better chance that they don't get all the way to their line, right, all the way to the happy place at the non-volley line, or there's a better chance that they hit a slower, higher return so they have more time to get up there. That's also good for you, because you probably prefer having more time to get ready for that third shot, right? So that's one reason that we want to be able to serve deep, is it makes their journey to the net a little bit longer. Now, why else might we want to serve deep? Well, it has to do with timing, because if that ball lands closer to them, if it's landing closer to the baseline, all of a sudden there's less time between the bounce and the hit. They're going to have less time between when the ball lands on the court and when they've got to make contact. And if the timing is more difficult, they're less likely to hit a high quality shot, right? So a good deep serve can make the timing a little more difficult, make it more likely that they have some sort of error, whether it's an error outright or an error just they don't put the ball where they want. That's good for you too. There's one more reason, and this is especially true here at these courts. Okay, so take a look at these courts. So there's very little distance between, here, let's just like take one step, and I'm at the fence, 1.5 steps. Like, this is a short distance between the baseline and the net. And I'm sure lots of you play on pickleball courts where you've got tons of room around the back, but there's a lot of courts, especially if you're talking about indoor courts, where there's not a ton of space between the baseline and the fence. And so what'll happen is if you serve deep and all of a sudden the ball is landing like somewhere back here, then that's going to make it much more difficult for them. They're not going to be able to back up as much because they got the fence in the way. They might have to take a shorter swing. So those are 3 good reasons why we want to serve deep. So let's do it. All right, this was actually way tougher for me to set up on the fence than I thought it was going to be, but I think we got you. You're sort of secure. You're wobbling a little bit, but this is fine. Okay, so how deep is deep enough? Well, the deeper the better, obviously. Now, if you're a less experienced player, it's a little bit tougher to get the ball exactly where you want. You might give yourself a bigger target, right? You might say landing it from here back is fine. If you're a more advanced player, you might want to push yourself and say you want to land from here back. Okay, I'm going to give myself like, we're going to say medium challenge to start. So let me get some cones. Okay, there we go. So we're going to say that I'd like to get that ball past these cones. I don't really care right now how I get it there. It could be a slower, higher ball. Right, it could be a lower, faster one, but we're just going to try to get them past the cones. Now, just realize I don't have a ton of balls here, so I'm going to have to pick some up. I got 7 balls. This is not many. All right, well, let's see how we're doing here. We're going to start just like medium speed, bit of an arc, see if we can get them past. And that would be 0 for 1. 1 for 2. That's long. Oh, that's good. Oh, you know why? That was a different ball. 3 for 4. Ooh, borderline. 4 for 5. That's short. 4 for 6. 5 for 7. Okay, 5 for 7. Good, we can run and pick up the balls. It's a little bit of fitness on the way. Okay, so let's say I did that and I was happy with that, and I could do a few rounds of it if I wanted. A couple things we could do here. One is we could change the target. We could make it deeper, and that'd be fine. 2 is we could change the kind of serve we hit. Mine were fairly slow, fairly high, fairly safe serves. But wouldn't it be great if I could get it deep in the court like this, but really like hit it harder so my opponents have less time to react? I think that'd be great. So let's do that. Same target, but now it's gonna be a fast serve. All right, here we go. Do my best Tyson McGuffin. 1 for 1. Ooh, we'll have to check the tape for that one. That's great. Also great. Yep. So Mega Max is feeling amazing. Ooh, long. That's what you get. Okay, so there we go. It was like 5 or 6, depending on how that second one went. All right, it's not bad. So again, I think what we're gonna do, I'm gonna pick up these balls, and then we're gonna make the target tougher. We're gonna make it a bit deeper. Okay, so why don't we say half the distance to the goal. Okay, and we're gonna say we gotta do it the same way. It's still gotta be that low, fast serve. Ha! Got helped out by the net. I think that's short. That's a beaut. Borderline. Out. That's good. Last one. Come on, baby. Yeah. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that. You can see the consistency went down a little bit because now the target was tougher, but it was still not bad. I was still pretty happy. So got a couple of choices here. One is I could continue to work on this, right? Try to get the consistency higher. Or 2, I can make it difficult by adding more pressure. In real pickleball, when you serve, if you miss, there's a consequence, right? There's a price to pay. Side out, or your opponents get the serve, well, that's a side out. Or your partner takes over serving, right? You lose your serve. Right now, when I've been doing this training, there's really no consequence, right? Whether I get 7 out of 7 or 4 out of 7, doesn't really matter. I'm not in trouble. I don't lose anything. There's no price. So what we want to do, if we want to be able to do this in a game, not just here when we're practicing, is I've got to like create some sort of penalty, right? I've got to pay some sort of price if I don't hit the serve the way I want. So what could this penalty be? Well, it could be anything. I could, I don't know, have to run some laps. I could slap myself on the wrist. I could give a quarter to my nemesis, right? Whatever it might be. So what I'm going to do for my penalty here is that every time that the serve doesn't go where it's supposed to, doesn't land, where's our target area? In our target area, every time I miss the serve, 5 push-ups. Okay, let's try it. And again, we're not going to take the easy way out with those high, slow ones. We're still going to do the low, fast ones. All right, here we go. Come on. Oh, I think we're safe there. 1 for 1. That is definitely short. Oh. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, especially after missing a serve, and you feel the push-ups, you don't want to miss the next one, right? But that's kind of like real pickleball too. Once you make an error, you're more aware of your errors. Come on. That is also short. Okay. So I don't want to say I'm choking here, but I didn't see that. I think it caught the line. That's way short. Come on, Renneson. I don't even know what we're at. It's terrible though. Okay, this one, relax. What would Morgan Evans do? Here we go. That is long. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Morgan Evans would not miss long like that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Oh, this is the worst. Well, as you can see, I sort of failed under the pressure there. Choked, probably the appropriate word. It's one thing to be able to hit these serves when there's nothing on the line, but it's another when there's a consequence. And the consequence can be small, 5 push-ups. And in the end, honestly, the 5 push-ups is probably good for me. But this is a really important aspect of training. If you want to be able to perform, then you've got to be able to do this skill when it counts, when there's a penalty for failing. So this is a good way to do that. So there you go. If you want to be able to go and practice your serve on your own, do this, grab some cones, grab a bag, grab whatever it is. You can make the targets progressively tougher, right? Just like we did here. You can make the serve you have to hit a little bit tougher. But the really important thing here, once you've kind of like mastered the basics of it, is to say, can I do it under pressure? And that's where you create those consequences for yourself. Yeah, you might have to do some push-ups, but you know what? You'll be stronger up here. Good luck. Not too long ago, I got to go to beautiful Chilliwack, British Columbia. It's just about an hour east by car from Vancouver. And Chilliwack's a beautiful place, a nice part of the province. You got lots of streams out there. You got lots of hills. You got some mountains. And before I went out to go do some pickleball coaching, I thought, you know what? Let's go for a little nature walk. So why don't you come with me on this nature walk? Beautiful trail here. You gotta love it. There's a little bit of outdoors ruggedness, but, you know, some steps along the way, make it a nice easy path, and we had a beautiful day to do this. So we finally get to the top of the hill, say hello to our furry friends, and let's take a look. Let's take a look at the lookout. Beautiful. Chilliwack got about 100,000 people and a really active community. There's a lot of outdoors action that goes on there, whether we're talking about pickleball or we're talking about other kinds of sports. And so I took a little look around to see what was going on. I love these outdoor playgrounds, but also sort of the adult playgrounds, right? Those little fitness stations you can go to. Of course, here's the stadium and the skate park. And this was in the middle of a school day, so the kids were, you know, doing school stuff. Now, before I went on court, I said, you know what, I should have a little lunch, and then headed over to the Landing Sport Center. This is a really interesting place. You don't see many, this is an indoor tennis court. You don't typically see it with this surface, but you can see they divide the pickleball courts using the tennis net, and then I got to sit down. So, some of the board members.
Jerry, if you can move that way just a little bit. Perfect. There you go.
So the Chilliwack Pickleball Club started in 2017. And we used to play at the Evergreen Hall, but we outgrew that place. And then we came over here and we talked the city into leasing this place to us on an hourly basis. We have 14 courts here and we have 333 members. We play every day of the week. And recently, we joined up with Pickleball Canada and we try to teach as much pickleball as we can. We try to make it the best pickleball club in BC.
I think the biggest challenge is we went from 60 members to 330 members in a few short years. And then also this year we changed our website over to Pickleball Canada. And so it's sort of a challenge for maybe a few seniors with the technical aspects of the computer and registering through Pickleball Canada. And then also, as Lyle mentioned, we're doing our sign up for courts on pickleball brackets, and that in itself can be a challenge.
First thing we do with everybody is we do an orientation just to get a bit of a feel for how, you know, the skill level that a person has, what kind of hand-eye coordination they have. And after that, we make an assessment on them, and then they kind of get put into the other 330 members somewhere in the list. And then from then, they can work their way up or down by playing games. We use pickleball brackets to keep track of everybody, and your rating system kind of goes with that. And it's pretty much an internal rating system.
We run a variety of programs. We have rating sessions where people can get rated, and we also have court assignment, and we have silver and gold and 2 up and 2 down and mixers. So we try and offer something for everybody.
And we also offer skills and drills. We do that on Tuesdays now, where we encourage people that are beginners to come out and teach them how to play the game.
And after all of that, they were nice enough to let me join them for a couple open play games. We had a great time out there on the court. And all the people in Chilliwack really accommodating, really welcoming. You can see why the pickleball scene is growing there so much. Dedicated volunteers, of course. You always need that if you're going to run a community pickleball club. So after we played a little pickleball, had a good time, said, you know what, let's go for that hike again. Just kidding, that is not what I did. Instead, I went for dinner. This time, added a pizza to it. Great time. If you are interested, if you're in the Chilliwack area, why not hit up the Chilliwack Pickleball Club? You can find them on Facebook. You can just do a Google search. This will come up. Thanks to everyone at the Chilliwack Pickleball Club for welcoming there. Had a great time. Can't wait to be back. Harrison, thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Mark Renneson.
Yeah. So look, we're here right now at the 2022 U.S. Open. Every time I look at the draws or at the medals being awarded, somewhere on there I have seen your name for many years. How many of these U.S. Open tournaments have you been at?
Well, I'll have to think about that. I think the first one was 2016.
Mm-hmm.
Could that be right?
Yeah.
Here?
So you've basically been at all of them.
Yeah.
And so tell me a little bit about this tournament in particular. I want to talk about pickleball in general in a moment, but this particular tournament, how have you seen it sort of change and evolve, let's say in the last 6 years that it's been going on here?
Oh, I think the talent is amazing, and it's such a thrill to be here. It's so great to see the new talent coming through. The game itself is changing immensely. I mean, these no names come up and whip your butts. So it's very exciting. You can go into a match and not know people, and they are extraordinarily talented.
Yeah.
So it's it's such a wonderful sport. And the venue has changed itself. It's gotten bigger. They've had a $3.2 million complex. Also, it's small enough so you can see people. All your friends, you know where their tent is. You say hi, they follow you around, you follow them around. It's super.
Well, I have followed you around a little bit, and it takes a really long time to follow you around because every few steps, there's another person coming over to say, oh, Deb, I love your videos. Oh, Deb Harrison, how's it going? Right, you're one of the friendliest people sort of in the pickleball world right now. And so I imagine when you come to a tournament like this, there's a lot of chatting that ends up going on here.
Well, it's amazing the number of people I don't know who know me, because I've done over 200 plus videos for about 10 years now, and it's 2 a month, so that adds up to a lot. And my technique and my teaching technique has changed immensely over the years too. I've still remained the same. I think what people enjoy about my videos is the simplicity and maybe the shortness and conciseness, and I work a lot on the skill components rather than the strategy components. So leave it to Tony Roig or somebody else to work on the strategy components. But if you have good fundamentals, you can play a really good game of pickleball.
Well, this is something I want to talk to you, and I want to talk to you about the videos in particular in a minute. Tell me, how did you get into coaching? Because I know when I first got into the pickleball world and I was like, okay, who's sort of out there doing things, right? Your name was one of the first ones that came up. But I don't think I know any of the backstory about how you got into either sort of pickleball in general or coaching pickleball in particular.
Well, I started when I was about 55 and I was on the verge of retiring. So I was in, I think, Fort Myers, Florida.
And what kind of work did you do that you were going to retire from?
I was a teacher, and I worked at a tennis club. I also was a co-owner of a jewelry store, believe it or not, for about 5 or plus years. And all the while, I've always been an athlete of some. My training is in physical education and teaching and coaching. Early on, my sport was field hockey, way back when. You know, I made the U.S. team in 1968. And carried on, and I've just always loved the sports, you know. So then I got into tennis club, and I found pickleball in Fort Myers in one court, and said I have to go someplace where they have a little bit more challenging pickleball. So I went to the Villages, where they had 70 courts at the time, and now they have 240 courts right now. So.
And what, you went out and you just said, hey,
I'm
available for lessons. Like, how, you know, was it the kind of thing where some people would step on the court and you're just there to play, and then you'd offer a tip here or there, and it kind of, you said, hey, maybe I can do this whole coaching thing, or was it more formal than that?
I started teaching at the Villages, kind of under the radar, because we're not allowed to collect money for teaching on Villages property. So then I had to find a venue. So I went to Grand Oaks Equestrian Center, where they had one pickleball court that I could teach. And now I'm at Recreation Plantation in Fruitland Park, which is 10 minutes from my house. And they have allowed me to teach on a court or courts with the provision that I give a free clinic for their residents once a week. So I think this is a fair exchange for my ability to give ongoing lessons.
Well, I'm sure it's good for you. I'm sure it's good for the people, for the facility itself. I'm sure it's really good for the people that get to take the lessons. So about, you know, you come from a teaching back, and what did you teach? You said phys ed? So can you tell me a little bit about, you know, from like a coaching perspective, sort of like what are your priorities? What's your mindset? What's your methodology, right? If someone was to describe, like, what is Deb Harrison like as a coach, or maybe they know you better, as you said, from the videos, Pickleball Deb, what is she like as a coach? What's her style like? Like, how would you either describe it yourself or hope that other people describe it?
My style is soft, gentle, not militaristic, not my way or the highway, not my highway or the highway. You got to find your own way. And I first of all ask a student or a group, what's on your mind? What's your issues? And let's target them. You know, it might be anything. It might be keeping the ball down, it might be hitting the ball hard, and you need all of this. The big thing is third shot drop. You know, a lot of people want that, especially the 3-0, 3-5, 4-0 levels. But I go with the group, the person, and I've got enough background that I can just tailor it to the lesson. If I have a beginner, I focus on 4 things. I focus on their ability to volley. I start with that. Then I go to return of serve and serve. If they can do all those 3 things, they can play the game of pickleball. They do not need to dink, but they do need to do all those 3 things. And they can have a great time playing this game.
So I'm fascinated how quickly you answered that question, what is your style? And you said soft or gentle. I'm really interested in that. Can you say more about like what that means, what that looks like? What are some of the markers, if I was out there watching you teaching a private lesson or a group lesson or whatever it is, that would say, oh, this is what she means by gentle or soft. Can you say more about that?
Okay, for example, if someone says, I want to improve my volleying ability, well, I'm very capable of putting the ball on their paddle where they want it, whenever they want it, you know, with control. So it's cooperative, and then I'll say, okay, you know, change this, change that, get your ready position this way, that way, and we'll do it until they get it.
All right, we've got a doozy of a point from Major League Pickleball. Let's check out this mixed doubles point in its entirety, and then we're going to break it down because this didn't really go the way either of the teams expected.
Has to come back. Oh.
Yes! All players on every part of that court.
All right, quick player ID on the top of your screen. Returning serve, we got Rob Nunnery playing alongside Irina Terashenko on the near side of the court. AJ Kohler and his partner Lee Whitwell. So notice here, Nunnery returning the serve. He's choosing to play his backhand, and that's because he wants to avoid the dominant player. That's Kohler. He wants to target Whitwell with this backhand slice return. And the idea here is if he can use a little bit of side spin, he can get that ball to land in play and then maybe kick out to the right side of the court, getting to Whitwell. Kohler is going to have none of that. He chases that ball. Look how far he goes, but he realizes there's some open court there. Can't very well play a drive or it's going to get redirected to that open court. So what does he do? Well, he goes with the third shot lob. It's not a shot you see very often, but he did have success earlier in this match, went to it again, and for good reason, I guess. You look here, bit of a miscommunication between Nunnery and Terashenko. You can hear him telling her that's her ball. Don't think it is. That's a high forehand, sir. Meanwhile, Whitwell realizes this miscommunication happened. She starts to crash the net. Terashenko's in big trouble with her back to the court, not going to win many points from that position. And so Whitwell then comes forward because she is hoping that there is some sort of high ball that comes over the net that she can pounce on. Watch here, when she comes forward, she takes up a lot of space in the middle of the court. You'll see Kohler has stayed back. Maybe he thought that ball was going out. Maybe he's just admiring how great that lob was. Anyway, Whitwell, she comes over, takes up a lot of space in the middle, and handed to Kohler here, he stays back. Even though he's typically the dominant player, he stays back. He lets Whitwell do her thing, taking up space there. Now, when that ball comes over to Whitwell, she's got a decision. She looks and she sees that both Nunnery and Terashenko, they are far back. So instead of keeping them back, what she's going to do here, she's going to play a little drop volley. Now, where is she going to play it? Down the line, cross court down the middle? Well, she is going to play this ball a little bit of a cross court, and the reason is that ball is now going to bounce sort of away from her opponents, right? Instead of playing down the line where it goes a bit straighter to them. So she's gaining maximum advantage here, getting this ball to rebound a little bit off to the side. And off to the races go Terashenko and Nunnery. Watch Rob here as he flips over his paddle. It's sort of tough to see here with the resolution, but he's flipped it over even though it's on the forehand side. He's hitting it with a backhand. That is the only way he's going to dig that ball. Now, here's where I think a bit of a mistake by Whitwell. Now that Kohler's back up at the net, she probably should have moved a little to the right side of the court because there is some open space here that Nunnery is able to find and actually put Whitwell in a weak position. Look at Terashenko taking up space there to play some defense. But from this position, there's not much Whitwell can do, so she's just going to play this kind of like nothing ball, this sort of down-the-line backhand to Terashenko's backhand. Right? So Terashenko and Nunnery get out of a jam a little bit. And now what does Irina do? Well, she plays this cross-court drop. And I mean, hindsight is 20/20, but I sort of think at this point, Terashenko's got a good two-handed backhand. Perhaps there's an opportunity here for her to drive this ball down the line. Kohler sort of creeping a little bit left still, covering the cross-court. Thought maybe Irina could take a rip. Instead, she decides to play this safer ball, this cross-court drop, maybe giving Rob Nunnery a chance to get back in the play. That ball sits up too high, and Kohler is so good on this backhand side. Very strong, creates a lot of speed just off flicking that backhand. And you'll see here Kohler really patrolling up near the net, trying to intercept anything he can get his paddle on. Terashenko from that low position on the backhand plays this cross court. You'll see it sits up just above net height. Kohler pokes it. And he doesn't hit this ball that hard. I mean, it's not obviously a high ball, but he is able to get that ball down into the dirt. Maybe a little over-aggressive from Nunnery and Terashenko coming forward like that. But more importantly, once again, we see this miscommunication. They're fighting over that ball, and when teammates fight over a ball, things don't typically end well for them. That ball gets popped up, and it's like a 1-2 punch for Kohler. Finishes it with the forehand into the open corner. Crowd goes absolutely berserk. Let's just one more time. Open corner. Whitwell's pumped up. Terashenko, Nunnery can't believe it. There's Kyle Yates in the white with the backwards hat. Look how high that guy jumps. Crowd is going bananas. They love it. Kohler is fired up. Whitwell, the left-handed, almost like she's hitting the ball into the crowd. And that's how this point ends. Nunnery, Terashenko, they can't believe it. They sort of fought so hard to get back into the play. Crowd loving it. There's Yates again, coming across, cheering on his team. Kohler is like, how did we pull that one off with my third shot lob? I don't know. But Whitwell, you did a lot of the work out there. Lady Gibraltar, as she's known. Let's watch this point one more time. As we see here, that 1-2 punch, getting that ball down into the dirt on the backhand side from Kohler, finishing it off with the forehand. We'll watch it again from its beginning, because this was a great point. So much good pro pickleball out there these days. I love these team events. They're fun to watch. Everyone gets into it, especially when you see high quality play like this. A little bit of everything, not quite how you draw up the points. I love it. It's where you get to see the improvisation from these players. And the energy at these events is amazing. So check it out, whether it's Major League Pickleball or any other team's events. Highly recommend. Great stuff out there from 4 terrific players.
After all that hustle, Terashenko and Nunnery.
All right, thanks for watching this episode of Pickleball Today. I would love to know, what do you think about the show? What do you like? What do you dislike? What do you want to see more of? Or maybe, what do you want to see less of? Why not send me an email? mark@thirdshotsports.com is the best way to get in touch. And don't forget, you can find us on all the social media. Just look for us at Third Shot Sports. Until next time, I'm Mark Renneson. Thanks for watching. I'm going to go play on the swings.